This is a reading for you. It is not attached to a zodiac sign nor a timeline. The intention is if you come across this reading, it should benefit you in some way. That being said, I've pulled some cards for you here. Let's get started. It seems as though you are maybe sitting on a less than sturdy foundation right now. You know, I think that on your mind, it's as if you want to very much evolve into the next chapter of yourself or gain a sense of clarity, authority, strength. I'm really kind of getting that, like, you know, you maybe don't feel strong because things can be so shaky and difficult, but actually we should keep in mind that you're incredibly strong because you've been through those things. Needless to say, things aren't perfect, right? Maybe you've made some mistakes. I feel like you're maybe dragging your feet on some things. You are confident, but it's almost kind of hinting at, like, do you really have that much reason to be? Not in a discouraging way. It's just sort of, it's meant as sort of an encouragement. It's kind of challenging you to ask why you look at things the way you do, or why you make the choices that you make. And I think that in a lot of ways you're becoming to realize that a lot of those choices are what ultimately set you back, right? So what choices do we need to make to progress forward? Because the thing is when you change those actions, when you consciously review yourself and adjust what needs adjusting, that's building your way towards freedom, towards independence, towards your best self. And so there could have been a decision made around this some time ago, even. That, or you maybe finalized or ended a chapter in some way. But I want to actually clarify that just a little bit deeper. I feel like your discernment has been disrupted. It's almost like you're sort of, you feel incapable of making a choice somehow, maybe. Because there could be something you're attached to, or you're wondering where the right answer is or where justice lies. Maybe within yourself. You could be contemplating a lot of those sort of harder questions of what we really want, because sometimes it's hard to know, because you can want two contradicting things. You can sort of just not really have an idea of the right choice at all. But I also think maybe you're waiting for something to happen. That's sort of a secondary narrative, though, if I'm being honest. And there may be something, you know, it does feel like you'll be able to overcome that sort of difficulty, you know. And here's the thing, it's not this sense of perseverance or getting through it entails just that, by the way, getting through it. I think that people kind of forget that a lot, that, you know, you're putting in action is where it really counts. And, you know, it does sort of suggest that you're not really focusing on mistakes or setbacks. So I think that you're adjusted in your point of view. I think that you're seeing things clearly. It kind of feels like a serious, like sort of just time to get serious, or you're getting serious with yourself, or you're, I don't know, looking at the fine print. And, you know, I also get the impression that you're kind of contemplating when you get to said destination or change is made, managing it wisely. Like, let's say that you had a goal to improve your finances or your relationships, you know, giving proper time to manage your time and use and engagement of those things, whatever it may be, so that it's not squandered. Because that's the thing, you know, people can rise and fall so quickly, such is the law. You know, the tide is ever flowing. Um, and I think that you're just done feeling frustrated. You know, we learn a lot through setbacks, through frustration, through difficulty, as annoying as that is. Um, it's kind of like that Saturn energy, right? It's very restricting. And it almost sort of calls for a sense of boldness. It's like the pressure will be put on you, but if you sort of you know, if you hesitate or if you crumble at that pressure, it's crushing. It just makes things worse. You know, so there's a need to rise to the occasion, or it's just going to be harder. You know what I mean? And it's not that things are terrible here. You know, it's just take some time to look at your cycles, because we all have these cyclical routines, and you may experience the same setbacks or difficulties over and over. So it's about asking yourself why that is and how can you fix it. That's how it's supposed to be approached. It's just so many of us are doing it unconsciously all the time that we don't even take a minute to think about, okay, well, how can I redirect that? How can I, you know, and also a lot of people are sort of okay with and just feel like they can't change or they're stuck in their ways, that kind of thing. That is, if you're one of those people, I'm sorry, that is a dumb way of looking at things. For one, we are forever capable of change. Everything is always changing, always forming. So when you say stuff like that and when you believe things like that and you act in accordance to it, it's almost like you freeze yourself in a time capsule of your own ignorance. That maybe sounds harsh, but I mean, that's what's actually happening. I don't mean that in a harsh way, but that's quite literally what's happening. So if you ask me, that's just the truth of the matter. Um, you can change. You just won't. Um, I'm not saying that I'm just speaking on the subject in general. Hmm. I do. So your advice, that there's something in your perspective that well, maybe not your perspective even. It's definitely linked to your relationships. There, and this has been coming up in readings for a while now. What is happening in the relationships? Because whatever it is, there's some kind of like deep thing that needs to be addressed. Your perspective needs to heal, or a sense of something needs to change, maybe. Or there could be some dawning realization, that, especially with, you know, maybe opportunities that come. You could have to, it's almost like you have to leave something behind here, I feel like, or change something. I don't know what thing that is, but, and I think that's the point. Like, I feel like it's up to you to decide. Well, because it is. Fortune, protection, skills, possessions, higher ground, belief, mastery, meditation, ancient amulets, and levitation. You know, I kind of feel like this is about rising above. You know, that call to action for ourselves, to work on ourselves. It's so easy to forget about that. You know, resting on one's laurels and such. It feels to me that it's time to transcend your barriers. And I feel like your main focus should be how to do that, basically. So I appreciate you all watching. I am having a sale on all of my personal readings right now. So if you want to book a personal reading with me, you can access that through my website, which is in the description below. I'm going to take this reading a bit further for the extended version of it on my Patreon. So if you want to support the channel in that way, that's amazing. I actually have a goal with every post. Well, for this is on my TikTok, but for YouTube, I would even just like regular subscribers would be great. But I'm trying to get a subscriber per post I make and 3 personal readings booked. So that's just what I have set in my head. But I do appreciate you all being here. I appreciate you watching, especially if you've made it this far in the video. You know, statistically, most people don't watch to the end. So if you are one of those people who watches to the end, I appreciate you. And I'll see you over on Patreon, or I'll see you next time. Have a great evening.